Not only does Skip Bayless make the most money over there, but he has the most power in terms of how he runs his show.
I don't want the disagreement to go outside of the lines and where it becomes...
And you thought there for a little while it did?
Yeah, I did. I think everybody thought that.
And set up a conversation for people who wanted to skip up, but you know, luckily cooler heads have prevailed. But
I was just telling one of my friends that it's kind of wild how we went from speculating about where athletes would go in the off season to now discussing where the human beings who talk about these athletes are now going to go and what their plans are and the drama that's surrounding them. And it's actually wild because you're seeing a lot of people taking shots at Skip Bayless, a lot of well-known entities recruiting Shannon Sharpe, and Shannon Sharpe giving us an idea of what his future might look like. But before we get to the content, man, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! So we have a $1,000 giveaway from Prize Picks. They're giving 5 of us a chance to win $1,000. All you have to do is click the link in the description down below to sign up for a chance to be selected to make a 5-pick flex to win $1,000. Use my promo code Mikerophone to get up to a $100 deposit match on Prize Picks. Now let's get to the video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? When Skip Bayless originally left ESPN's First Take, he took a risk that I honestly thought wouldn't pay off. I mean, him and Stephen A. Smith captured lightning in a bottle with First Take. And although you don't necessarily watch First Take for intelligent takes, you have to admit, watching Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith yell at each other was great for television. But you could also tell that as a result of Skip Bayless's opinions, a lot of people didn't like him. As a matter of fact, when Skip Bayless was leaving ESPN in 2016, Scott Van Pelt took a little bit of a dig at him.
LeBron James now unimpeachable. That's the end of it. It is time to find a new axe to grind if you have made your living ripping him. Find a new axe.
At the same time, there's people that quite literally want to beat the crap out of Skip Bayless.
Shannon's had a lot of love, or does have a lot of love for Dude, but you could even see Shannon's fed up. And someone's going to end up hurting Skip because his ego, his arrogance, his disrespect has kind of always been on this level, but now I think it's going to a new level. And now he's disrespecting his co-host and Shannon, and again, someone, you know, they've had a great working relationship over the years, but this dude Skip is all bad, and he thinks that he could say and do what he wants and there isn't going to be any repercussions. And there may not be no repercussions from his job, but someone is going to run up on Skip and hurt this man.
And I don't know Skip Bayless personally, but my imagination is he's a human that is a genius that really is the godfather of the modern day sports debate show. But at the same time, he could be quite difficult to work with. And there are times where he takes things a little bit too far. I mean, we mentioned the take he had on Dak Prescott opening up about his depression.
I don't have sympathy for him going public with, I got depressed. He's the quarterback of America's team. If you reveal publicly any little weakness, it can affect your team's ability to believe in you in the toughest spot.
And that's before we get into the fact that he had some beefs with his co-host Shannon Sharpe. The first one being this argument in regards to Baker Mayfield, which both of the humans are apparently smiling here, so I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Mayfield is dead last in 2022 in QBR.
Blah, blah,
He's
blah.
dead last. I don't care, blah, blah, blah. You gonna let me talk? Because that's what you do.
If you'll stay on point on question.
You never stay on point.
Okay, I'm about to stay on point. Tell me when it's my turn.
It's not your turn.
Okay.
But it got really heated when they were discussing Tom Brady, and Skip Bayless essentially belittled Shannon Sharpe's achievements.
This is just straight hate by a guy who's jealous that he's still playing at a high level at 45 when you had to stop at 35.
Yeah, that's what you do.
That's the point.
That's what you do. Every time I call something into question, I'm jealous.
No.
Yeah, I did what I
never
did.
said you were jealous of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I did what I did. You make it seem like I was a bum. I'm in the effing Hall of Fame.
Okay,
I got
so
3
what?
Super Bowls.
So what?
So what?
Skip Bayless would apologize, however.
Brothers fight. I have the highest regard for Shannon Sharpe because he prepares and he competes so hard. And I love to do battle with my man. Even though occasionally we go a little too far, we both got over it very quickly. We moved right along. We got right back on track, business as usual.
Things really took a turn for the worse when Damar Hamlin sustained a life-threatening injury, and Skip Bayless tweeted out a tweet that was deemed insensitive by many, saying no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. I said that I feel like this tweet was taken out of context because Skip actually tweeted many things in regards to Damar's well-being, but that was the one that blew up, and as a result, Shannon Sharpe no-showed Undisputed the next day.
If you'd like to tweet us your emotions of the night about what happened, please do so. You can tweet us at @Undisputed. The last thing we want to do is offend anyone by trying to do what we always do, which is talk about sports. Obviously, my partner Shannon Sharpe is not here today. I look forward to seeing him tomorrow.
Now, when Shannon Sharpe would return to Undisputed, once again, this duo would get into a heated argument with one another.
Anybody have to be revived and fight for their life on the field. So they struck me a little differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field temporarily, and he was able to regain focus. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down.
I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go. Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up
No,
this.
I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue, not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Which brings us to where we are now. Shannon Sharpe is leaving Undisputed because he was bought out, and he's taken Club Shay Shay with him. And I have to give credit because Shannon Sharpe has handled this situation with class and dignity, and he kind of gave us an insight about the duo's future when he went on Mad Dog's radio show.
I'm an ex-athlete. I see things through an athlete's eyes. And so for me, we see things differently. That's why we work on the show. He sees things one way, I see things another way. But I think the thing is that Skip and that I conveyed to Skip is that, look, we can disagree, but I want to color between the lines. I don't want the disagreement to go outside of the lines and where it becomes...
And you thought there for a little while it did?
Yeah, I did. I think everybody thought that.
And here's the thing. When Undisputed started, it was perceived as a big risk because you have Skip Bayless, and instead of Stephen A. Smith, you have a human being, Shannon Sharpe, that is known for having a remarkable Hall of Fame NFL career. But the question was, would he be able to talk about other sports, primarily basketball, because it seems like basketball and football are the two sports that Undisputed seems to cover. And it seemed like not only did Shannon Sharpe possess the capability of covering both sports, but he also brought in his personality and a charisma to Undisputed that, to be honest, Stephen A. Smith is amazing, but I think Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless had significantly better chemistry. Now, I want to also give Skip Bayless credit here because Shannon Sharpe wasn't necessarily in the greatest spot prior to Skip Bayless, and he says it himself.
Appreciate what they did for me for the decade in which I was at CBS, but I was miscast. I needed this format. I need a format where I can talk about a lot of different things and give my opinion.
Not 20 seconds
and not 20 seconds.
Show.
Yeah. And so Skip gave me this opportunity and the platform that I have, Club Shay Shay Podcast and Skip and Shannon Undisputed, and people, more people know me now from Skip and Shannon Undisputed than know me in 14 years that I played in the NFL. People ask me, like, how do you know so much about sports? How do you know so much about football? I was like, I study a lot. A lot of people don't realize that I actually played and I was a pretty good player, Mad Dog.
More than pretty good.
But as a result of this breakup, there's a lot of people speculating and taking shots at Skip Bayless. I mean, Charles Barkley said this before Game 2 of the NBA Finals.
You read something.
I did.
Okay.
If you work with a damn idiot, they'll buy you out.
It seems like a situation where it rains, it pours, because Marcellus Wiley would also join in on this.
They're not talking like friends. They're not even talking like friends that are beefing. They're talking like strangers, like in a way. Skip knew he can always talk to Shannon the Hall of Famer because he knew he controlled the show.
And to be honest, my own personal theory in regards to this situation has a lot to do with the fact that Shannon Sharpe has become a very large asset in general in the world of sports media. In my opinion, I think Shannon Sharpe is a Pat McAfee-esque type of personality that could easily dominate the game if he went off on his own. And I feel like Skip Bayless still perceived Shannon Sharpe as the same human being as he was when they first started the show in 2016.
I'm helping you get your career back together. That's about it. Just follow my lead and that's it.
There's a lot of talk about Shannon Sharpe wanting to choose specific topics, but Skip Bayless not letting him choose specific topics, and it being his show in his way, which I can understand because it's been very successful. And I will admit, I do look at Undisputed from time to time to see what they're talking about, to see if it's something I'd be interested in talking about. I can understand the exhaustion. A lot of times they will be talking about LeBron James when it's not necessary to talk about LeBron James, or Tom Brady during a time where there's better topics to talk about. And I can understand because these are the players' most marketable stars and it'll draw the most views and get the most clicks, and I experience it from time to time at firsthand as well. So I can understand Shannon Sharpe's point of view here. It's like, let me get a topic in on Undisputed here and there. That, with the fact that Skip Bayless may have said some stuff that he shouldn't have, could have been the reason for their breakup. And it seems like Jonathan Coachman actually has something to say about Charles Barkley's take, and Skip Bayless would respond to all of this, by the way. The problem with the damn idiot is that execs have empowered him to the point where he thinks he's never wrong. At First Take many times, I asked to fill in for Stephen A when he was out. Skip, whose desk was right next to me, said, "What can you truly debate me on? Golf?" I didn't even respond. He's been exposed for not ever really playing sports and now can't even keep a partner. But somehow they will empower him to think it was Shannon's fault and he once again is right. I just can't say anymore. Thank you, Chuck, for saying the things we wish we could say. I feel like there's a lot of people that are trying to paint this as
Shannon Sharpe versus Skip Bayless animosity.
But I genuinely don't think Shannon Sharpe dislikes Skip Bayless. But if you go through Shannon Sharpe's liked tweets, you might get an idea of what's going on here. I mean, the most recent one as I'm recording this video is at Shannon Sharpe. If the rumor is true, there's no way in hell FS1 will be able to replace you. Love the show, but I stopped watching as much after the Brady incident. Much continued success and prosperity. The next one, Unc, if you're truly leaving FS1 after the finals, then I'll be driving all around LA looking for you just for a small chance to be able to say thank you for being part of my daily routine and literally being part of my life in the past 7 years. Yeah, he goes to my gym. I'm terrified of even saying that to him, to be honest. He's a huge human being, man, and oh my god, he's just such a large human and so recognizable. Another one, enough is not being said of Shannon Sharpe's professionalism. Although the entire world knows he is leaving and we all saw how problematic this year has been between he and Skip, Unc still shows up daily and does his job with a smile on his face and still giving us his best. And the craziest part is, he actually liked the tweet that Jonathan Coachman put out. The problem with the damn idiot is that the execs have empowered him to the point where he thinks he's never wrong. It's kind of tough because when you have Skip Bayless that has produced these magical moments,
What it do, baby?
it's very difficult to tell him no because he clearly knows what he's doing. But at a specific point, man, the tide changes, the landscape changes. Club Shay Shay, the podcast, is doing better than Skip Bayless's podcast, and Skip Bayless's longevity is remarkable, don't get me wrong, but every single great athlete at some point or another loses their luster a little bit or falls out of their prime. Now, this didn't stop Stephen A. Smith from trying to swoop in and get Shannon Sharpe on First Take. Watch.
If Shannon Sharpe wanted to join that roster, there's no resistance from Stephen A. I got love for Shannon Sharpe. I respect the hell out of him. And there's no doubt the man knows his football.
It's actually funny because Shannon Sharpe does have some clips with him just talking trash to Michael Irvin. I would love to see these debates live, and Shannon Sharpe's even liked this tweet suggesting that he could potentially go on First Take.
I'm 245, he said he 220, and who looked the best?
Mike,
put it on the ground.
Mike, tell the people something.
Put it on the ground.
Put it on the ground, Uncle Shay?
Uncle Shay against Mike Irvin. Who in better shape right now?
Let me read this right now.
I am proportionally built perfectly. You understand that? Proportionally he's built perfect, but still not in better shape than me. And he's perfect, but what am I? Hey, the man said I'm built perfect.
Honestly, I hope Michael Irvin's situation gets resolved soon, by the way. We'll bring you an update the moment we have that, but if you don't know what's going on, check out our previous video. At the end of the day, I don't believe this is 100% the fact that Shannon Sharpe can't work with Skip Bayless anymore. I feel like it's the fact that Skip Bayless doesn't see Shannon Sharpe as the valuable asset that he is. And he probably thinks he could do it again. He did it with Stephen A. Handpicked Stephen A. Smith and said, give us our show and you'll see ratings. When he left ESPN, he's going to FS1, and him and Shannon Sharpe team up and provide the most popular sports show in America. And now Skip Bayless probably thinks he could do it again. Skip Bayless actually responded to what Charles Barkley said as well. This is what he had to say.
My theory is that deep down, Charles resents me because I all too often see and say things that he wishes he had seen and said. So I assume Charles will keep taking his shots because now I will no longer turn the other cheek as I did for 20 years. I no longer will let him get away with slinging mud, whatever mud that he wants to sling.
So at this point, one has to wonder who's going to be the replacement for Shannon Sharpe. And I have to admit, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this hire. First things first, it's really hard to replace a man like Shannon Sharpe. Not because he's super insightful or because he's some sort of brilliant analytics guru, but he brings tremendous entertainment value to any show he goes to. And it's very rare to find people like that. Skip Bayless is really good at getting a reaction out of people and getting people to talk about him. Shannon Sharpe is genuinely a likable and charismatic figure on sports television. There's a reason why Undisputed is the top sports TV show in America, and Shannon Sharpe is a huge part of that. It's more than just the sports. It's him bringing the devil's lettuce on set. It's him pulling up with cigars, Don Julio 1942, and Hennessy. It's him wearing flashy suits. It's who Shannon Sharpe is that made him an even better debate partner than Stephen A. Smith. He's genuinely a likable person. And this next replacement, I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about it. I could see how it could work out, but I don't necessarily know if I'm going to enjoy this as much as I enjoyed Shannon Sharpe. So here's the report about the potential replacement. And there's a bunch. So the first three that could potentially replace Shannon Sharpe, depending on the direction that this show wants to go in, is Nick Wright, Emmanuel Acho, and Joy Taylor. And I guess if they brought in Nick Wright to debate Skip Bayless, it would be the equivalent of when First Take brought in Max Kellerman to debate Stephen A. Smith. I mean, don't get me wrong, I actually really like how Nick Wright at least backs up his arguments. He at least provides a rationale to what he believes in, and I could respect that. But the top contender to replace Shannon Sharpe is, well, let me read this to you. According to M. McCarthy Rev, six-time Pro Bowl NFL running back LaShawn McCoy is emerging as an early possible contender to succeed Shannon Sharpe as Skip Bayless's debate partner on Undisputed. The former NFL star turned co-host of FS1 Speak is expected to have an extended audition with Bayless once Sharpe takes his contractual buyout from Fox Sports. Let me tell you something, man. I want to open this up by saying what LaShawn McCoy did on the football field is fantastic. I mean, an absolute legend, six-time Pro Bowler, two-time Super Bowl champion, remarkable player. But I have to admit, I don't necessarily know how I feel about this man's debate style because, well, take a look at this take he had on Dak Prescott.
Dak is ass, right? Can I say on TV? Because he is ass.
Whatever you want on.
Okay, that's one thing. Dak has the easiest job in football. These are like easy passes.
You might be thinking,
Mike, you're just saying this because you're a Cowboy fan.
That isn't the case at all whatsoever. I hear the fact that people think that Dak Prescott is a bad quarterback a lot. It's not my personal opinion. I actually think it boils down to how much you're paying Dak Prescott. And if you're paying him outside of the top 10 in salary, I actually think he could get you where you want to go. But that's my own opinion. But I don't like the fact that LaShawn McCoy is just sitting there saying,
Dak is He has the easiest job in the NFL. The second easiest job is Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo.
And he's not even providing rationale to why he thinks he's bad. He was just saying,
hey, did you see the interception he threw? That was such a bad interception. He is so
if he sat there and said, look, this man is wide open, Dak Prescott didn't go through his progressions, he didn't go through his reads, or if he explained why he was then I would forgive this. And this is all based on just how he feels. And I just don't like debate shows like that. At least maybe once he gets on Undisputed, they're gonna give him a bunch of facts to back up his arguments. And obviously they plan these things beforehand because it has to be Skip Bayless versus whoever he's arguing with. Man, I have to admit, at least from now, this seems like a gigantic downgrade. And to be honest, I didn't feel this way when I first heard that Shannon Sharpe was going to be debating Skip Bayless on FS1. But to be honest, I don't think the stakes were as high back then either. Because back then, Skip Bayless was leaving ESPN because Fox Sports gave him a huge bag to do so. So at that point, if he faded off into obscurity, I didn't think it was going to be as big of a deal. But now you're talking about the replacement for the top sports show in America. So who do you think is the best replacement for Shannon Sharpe? At the end of the day, I think Shannon Sharpe's irreplaceable. At the end of the day, I feel like this is more of a decision that has been fueled by the fact that Shannon Sharpe could get so much money going off on his own and doing other things, and he doesn't have to put up with the crap that Skip Bayless brings to the table. He's leveraged this situation as well as he could. Everybody loves him. Everybody knows who he is. So there's not much upside staying at FS1, especially when you could get a company like Spotify or Apple or any of these other platforms to pay a significant amount of money to try to bring users onto their platform just to listen to you. Imagine if he signed a non-exclusive agreement so he could also appear on ESPN from time to time. There's just so much that Shannon Sharpe could do currently, and the possibilities are endless. So I don't necessarily think this was 100% Skip's fault. It's a combination of the fact that Shannon Sharpe outgrew Skip, and he can make so much money working in a much less stressful environment. At the end of the day, I'm very thankful for the entertainment these two have provided us over the past 7 years, because I did launch my YouTube channel as a result of watching Undisputed. Primarily because I felt like I could give better takes than Skip, but the entertainment value that they bring, man, is out of this world. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Hopefully we'll have that Michael Irvin update for you guys soon. And if you missed that, I'll leave it in the end screen for you right now. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.